Hello friends, welcome back to my channel, Mindset Hub Tube. Today we are starting a brand new series, a detailed step-by-step summary of Dan Brown's latest Robert Langdon thriller, The Secret of Secrets. This is book 6 in the Langdon series, following Origin, and it takes us on a thrilling journey into the mysteries of consciousness, mythology, and hidden knowledge. Dan Brown is famous worldwide for novels like The Vinci Code, Angels and Demons, and Inferno. His stories always mix fast-paced chases with history, science, and secret societies. In The Secret of Secrets, he gives us a new kind of mystery, one that connects the legends of the past with the most advanced science of today. The story begins in Prague, Czech Republic. The ancient city, full of Gothic towers, secret tunnels, and centuries-old legends, becomes the main backdrop of the novel. Dan Brown uses real history and folklore, especially the famous Jewish legend of the Golem, a mystical creature said to protect the city in times of danger. Our hero, Professor Robert Langdon, the Harvard symbologist, arrives in Prague to attend a special lecture. The lecture is being delivered by his old friend, Catherine Solomon. You may remember her from The Lost Symbol. She is a brilliant scientist who studies noetics, the science of consciousness and human potential. Catherine is about to reveal a groundbreaking manuscript. Her research suggests that human consciousness has far greater power than science currently accepts. If true, it could change the way humanity understands mind, spirit, and even reality itself. But as always in a Dan Brown thriller, knowledge this powerful attracts enemies. Langdon arrives at the lecture hall, which is held inside a historic Prague university. The setting is described in detail: tall ceilings, medieval designs, and old manuscripts locked away in glass cases. Hundreds of people have gathered, including scholars, journalists, and students. Catherine begins her talk, speaking passionately about her discoveries. She explains that consciousness is not just a byproduct of the brain, but something much deeper, an energy field that connects all living things. She hints at ancient texts that describe similar ideas, from Eastern mysticism to Western alchemy. She promises to reveal more in her upcoming book, titled The Secret of Secrets. But before she can continue, chaos erupts. Suddenly, the lights go out. The audience gasps. A chilling silence fills the hall. Then a scream pierces the darkness. When the lights return, everyone sees the unthinkable. A man has been brutally murdered on stage. The method of killing seems ritualistic, almost symbolic, leaving strange marks on the victim's body. Panic spreads among the audience. Security rushes in, and in the confusion, Catherine Solomon disappears. Neither she nor her manuscript can be found. Robert Langdon realizes instantly that this is no random act of violence. The symbols carved into the victim's body resemble ancient markings, ones tied to the legend of the Golem. Before Langdon can even process what has happened, he becomes a suspect. Police investigators believe he may know more than he admits. But Langdon quickly notices something else: a hooded figure slipping away through the side door. He follows, but the figure vanishes into the labyrinthine streets of Prague. What he doesn't yet know is that this figure will haunt the rest of his journey. A mysterious assailant who seems almost superhuman, modeled after the mythic Golem itself. Now Langdon faces two urgent questions. Where is Catherine Solomon, and is she still alive? And who wants to stop her from revealing her discoveries about consciousness? The chase has just begun.
After the horrifying scene at the university, Langdon is questioned by the local authorities. The Prague police are suspicious of his presence and his connection to Catherine. He tries to explain that he only came to attend the lecture, but the officers press him with difficult questions. They have found strange symbols on the murdered man's body, and they suspect that Langdon, as a symbologist, knows more than he is revealing. Langdon, of course, recognizes the markings immediately. They are tied to Jewish mysticism and the ancient story of the Golem. But admitting this to the police would only make him look more guilty. While under interrogation, Langdon's sharp eye notices something unusual. A fragment of parchment is found near the crime scene, half burned but still legible. It contains a drawing of a circular symbol with words written in Hebrew. Langdon instantly understands its importance, but before he can explain, the police confiscate it as evidence. He feels powerless, yet determined to find answers on his own. Soon after, Langdon manages to escape police custody in the confusion caused by another disturbance outside the building. He slips into the narrow streets of Prague, with its medieval architecture casting long shadows, and begins to follow his instincts. The city feels like a living puzzle, and every corner hides both history and danger. As he makes his way through the old Jewish quarter, Langdon recalls the legend of Rabbi Loeb, who centuries ago was said to have created the golem to protect the Jewish community. According to legend, the golem was made of clay and brought to life through sacred words. It chills him, because the hooded figure he glimpsed earlier seemed almost inhuman in strength and movement, like the mythical guardian come alive. Langdon's search soon leads him to a hidden library connected to the university. There, he meets an elderly scholar who has studied Kabbalah and Jewish folklore for decades. This man warns Langdon that the symbols carved on the murdered victim are not random. They represent a very old warning, connected to forbidden knowledge. He also hints that Catherine's research might have crossed into dangerous territory, reviving ancient secrets that powerful people want to suppress. As he listens, he realizes the danger is greater than he imagined. This is not just about a missing scientist or a lost manuscript. This is about a struggle between ancient traditions and modern science, between those who want to reveal hidden truths and those who want to keep them buried. Their conversation is interrupted by a sudden attack. The hooded figure appears, moving with terrifying speed. The old scholar is struck down, while Langdon barely escapes with his life. In the chaos, he manages to grab a small notebook from the scholar's desk. Flipping through its pages, he sees sketches of the same strange symbols he saw at the murder scene. Some of them seem to form a map. Breathless and shaken, Langdon finds himself alone once again in the heart of Prague, holding on to the only clue that might lead him to Catherine Solomon. The notebook suggests a hidden path through the city, but he knows every step could be watched. With enemies closing in and the police hunting him as a suspect, he has no choice but to continue the search. The night in Prague grows darker, and the line between legend and reality begins to blur. Langdon feels the weight of history pressing on him, but he also senses that Catherine's discoveries could change everything humanity knows about the power of the mind. With danger around every corner, his journey is only beginning.
Langdon follows the clues from the scholar's notebook, moving cautiously through Prague's twisting alleyways. Each street and hidden passage seems to whisper secrets of the past, and Langdon realizes that the city itself is a puzzle designed to protect knowledge from outsiders. The sketches in the notebook hint at landmarks he recognizes from his previous visits, but now they take on a new meaning. They form a path that may lead him to Catherine and her lost manuscript. As he navigates the labyrinthine streets, Langdon begins to notice symbols carved into the architecture, small markings on doorframes, arches, and even cobblestones. Each one corresponds to sketches in the notebook, guiding him toward hidden locations. He understands that someone wanted him to follow this trail, but whether it is a trap or a rescue path remains unclear. The tension builds with every step, and Langdon knows that the hooded figure from the lecture is likely watching his movements. Eventually, Langdon reaches an old clock tower overlooking the city. The view gives him a moment to pause and think. From this vantage point, he recalls the history of Prague, the centuries of scholars, mystics, and secret societies who have passed through these streets. He wonders which of their hidden messages might still be alive, and which are deliberately designed to mislead. The notebook's symbols become increasingly complex, blending mathematics, ancient script, and alchemical references.
Langdon feels the familiar thrill of intellectual challenge, even as danger presses closer. Using his knowledge of symbology and pattern recognition, Langdon deciphers the first major clue, a phrase written in code that points him to a centuries-old synagogue hidden in the heart of the Jewish quarter. He moves carefully, aware that his pursuers are still nearby. Inside the synagogue, he discovers a hidden chamber filled with ancient manuscripts and mystical artifacts. Among them is a scroll containing cryptic instructions, hinting at the next step in the journey. Langdon realizes that this is part of a centuries-old system designed to protect knowledge of consciousness from those unworthy or unprepared to receive it. While examining the scroll, Langdon hears a faint sound, the shuffle of feet and whispered voices. He hides in the shadows and observes two men in dark coats inspecting the chamber. It becomes clear that Catherine's enemies are methodical and well-organized. They are not acting randomly. Their purpose is to capture her research before it can be revealed to the world. Langdon knows that he must act quickly and decisively, using both his intellect and his instincts to stay one step ahead. Exiting the synagogue, Langdon finds a series of underground tunnels that were once used for secret communication during the city's troubled history. He navigates them with caution, relying on the sketches in the notebook to guide him. The tunnels twist and turn, sometimes opening into hidden courtyards or empty chambers, each step building his anticipation and fear. Somewhere ahead, Catherine Solomon is waiting, and somewhere the hooded figure lurks in the shadows, ready to strike. By the time Langdon emerges from the tunnels, the city's night has deepened, casting Prague in almost an otherworldly glow. Street lamps flicker, casting long shadows that blur the line between reality and legend. Langdon senses that he is on the verge of a major discovery, one that could illuminate both the mysteries of the human mind and the dangerous forces aligned against Catherine. Despite exhaustion and fear, he feels an undeniable urgency. Time is running out, and every clue he uncovers brings him closer to the truth. Langdon emerges from the underground tunnels and finds himself in a quiet square that seems almost abandoned at this late hour. The streets are empty except for the distant echo of footsteps, which he suspects belong to the hooded figure pursuing him. Every shadow looks like a threat, and Langdon moves with heightened awareness, aware that even the smallest mistake could put him directly in danger. The notebook in his hand contains fragments of Catherine's research, cryptic symbols, and encoded directions, all pointing toward the next location. He realizes that each clue is layered, combining historical knowledge, symbology, and science. Following the instructions, Langdon reaches a centuries-old observatory perched on a hill above the city. The observatory is abandoned, with dust-covered instruments and cracked lenses, yet it holds clues left intentionally to guide someone who understands the symbols. Here Langdon discovers a set of charts and diagrams that appear to combine astronomy with human consciousness, suggesting a connection between celestial movements and the potential of the mind. He realizes that Catherine's research is attempting to uncover a fundamental law, a secret linking the cosmos to human perception. While studying the diagrams, Langdon hears movement outside. He hides and watches as two men enter the observatory, examining the instruments and searching for evidence. Their behavior confirms that they are part of a secret organization determined to suppress Catherine's work. Langdon waits for the right moment, then slips out through a hidden exit at the back of the observatory, narrowly avoiding detection. Each step forward brings him closer to Catherine, but also deeper into danger. He retraces part of the route described in the notebook, moving through narrow alleyways and past historic buildings that conceal centuries of knowledge. Langdon deciphers coded inscriptions carved into the walls, realizing that they form a continuous chain of guidance left by those who protected this knowledge long before him. The trail leads him to an old printing press, a place where manuscripts had been secretly copied and hidden. Inside, he discovers additional clues, including references to locations in London and New York, suggesting that Catherine's research has far-reaching implications beyond Prague. Langdon also begins to see the philosophical implications of Catherine's work. She is exploring the power of consciousness, not just as a scientific concept, but as a transformative force capable of reshaping human understanding of reality.
The enemies who seek to stop her understand this as well, which is why they are willing to go to extreme lengths to suppress it. The stakes are higher than Langdon initially realized. The pursuit is not only about a missing person or a stolen manuscript, but about knowledge that could change the way humanity perceives itself. By the time he leaves the printing press, Langdon is exhausted but resolute. The streets of Prague are quiet, but he senses that he is being followed. The hooded figure is relentless, and the danger is closing in. He knows that Catherine Solomon's survival and the revelation of her research depend on his ability to stay ahead, to code the symbols, and anticipate the moves of those determined to prevent her discoveries from reaching the world. Emerging onto a bridge overlooking the Vltava River, Langdon pauses for a moment to catch his breath and gather his thoughts. The river reflects the city lights, creating patterns that almost seem symbolic themselves. He understands that the path forward will require all of his knowledge, intuition, and courage. Each clue leads him closer to Catherine and the truth behind her groundbreaking work, but the journey is far from over, and the next move could determine not only her fate, but the fate of the knowledge she carries.
Langdon continues to follow the trail left by Catherine Solomon, guided by the notebook and the hidden clues she had embedded in her research. The path takes him through an intricate network of streets and alleys, some of which are little more than forgotten passages known only to locals. He notices subtle symbols carved into doorframes and arches, remnants of centuries-old secret societies. Each mark reinforces his belief that Catherine anticipated the dangers she would face and left a breadcrumb trail for someone capable of understanding it. As he moves forward, Langdon begins to piece together a pattern in the seemingly random clues. They form a chain of locations, each revealing more about the principles Catherine was uncovering. Her research suggests that consciousness is not merely confined to the human brain, but rather an interconnected force that can influence and shape reality itself. This revelation explains why powerful and secretive organizations are so determined to prevent her discoveries from being shared. Langdon realizes that he is racing against not just time, but against forces intent on keeping humanity in ignorance. Following the notebook, Langdon reaches an ancient church tucked away behind the busy streets. Its Gothic spires rise silently above the surrounding buildings, and the doors creak as he pushes them open. Inside, the church is dimly lit, the air heavy with dust and incense. He notices old inscriptions along the walls, combining Hebrew, Latin, and geometric symbols. The messages seem to form a code that points toward the next step in the journey. Langdon studies them carefully, translating the ancient text and aligning it with the diagrams in Catherine's notebook. He understands that each symbol is designed to test the knowledge and intuition of whoever seeks Catherine. Suddenly, he hears the faint sound of footsteps echoing through the church. Langdon hides behind a pillar and observes a group of men moving cautiously through the pews. They are clearly searching for something, scanning the room for signs of the notebook or other evidence of Catherine's research. Langdon recognizes them as members of the same organization that attacked the observatory. He waits for them to leave and slips out through a side exit, his heart pounding with the realization that he is being pursued at every turn. The trail leads him across a small courtyard and into a library hidden beneath the streets. Here, Langdon discovers a collection of manuscripts, some dating back centuries, each containing cryptic references to human consciousness, ancient rituals, and mystical practices. The knowledge is staggering, and Langdon feels both awe and responsibility. He knows that Catherine's research is part of a much larger tapestry, connecting historical wisdom to modern scientific discoveries. Langdon also begins to sense Catherine's presence indirectly. Small signs she left behind, a mark on a wall, a hidden note in a book, indicate that she may have been nearby recently, possibly observing from the shadows to protect him or test his progress. Each discovery renews his determination to find her and ensure that her groundbreaking work reaches the world safely. As he emerges from the library into the night streets of Prague, Langdon feels the tension intensify.
The city, with its medieval charm, now seems to him like a living maze where history and mystery intertwine. The chase is no longer just about survival, it is about understanding the deeper truth Catherine is uncovering. Every clue he deciphers brings him closer to her, but also closer to those who would kill to keep her knowledge hidden.
Langdon follows the notebook's guidance to a secluded courtyard hidden behind a row of old buildings. The air is cool and damp, and the sound of his footsteps echoes off the cobblestones. He studies the symbols in the notebook, realizing that they point to a secret chamber beneath the courtyard. Using his knowledge of symbology, he locates a barely visible trapdoor partially covered with moss and debris. With great care, he opens it and descends into darkness, aware that any misstep could alert the hooded pursuer lurking somewhere above. The chamber below is narrow and lined with stone shelves filled with dusty scrolls and ancient manuscripts. Flickering candlelight from a hidden source reveals inscriptions on the walls that combine numerical codes, geometric patterns, and mystical language. Langdon recognizes that these are designed to be deciphered only by someone with both intellectual skill and intuitive insight. He works quickly, connecting the symbols from the notebook with the inscriptions, and discovers a sequence that hints at Catherine's next destination. While examining the inscriptions, Langdon hears distant movement above. He freezes, listening carefully. Footsteps approach the trapdoor, then fade. Whoever it was clearly did not find the entrance, giving Langdon precious time. He carefully memorizes the inscriptions, understanding their significance, and climbs out of the chamber, closing the trapdoor silently behind him. Back on the streets, Langdon senses that the city itself is now an active participant in the chase. Narrow alleys twist like a labyrinth. Bridges over the Vltava River create natural checkpoints, and the architecture hides secrets within shadows. Every street, every building seems to hold a clue, and he must decipher them quickly before the pursuers close in. The notebook sketches guide him toward a small, nearly forgotten theater on the outskirts of the city. Inside the theater, Langdon finds more evidence of Catherine's work. Hidden behind stage props are additional notes and diagrams. Some of the diagrams combine physics with metaphysical concepts, suggesting that Catherine's research is bridging the gap between empirical science and human consciousness. The realization is staggering. The manuscript could redefine what humanity understands about the mind, perception, and reality itself. Langdon feels both awe and fear at the implications. Langdon senses he is not alone. A shadow moves across the stage and he quickly hides behind a curtain. The hooded figure enters, searching systematically. Langdon observes their methods, noting their discipline and determination. It becomes clear that this organization is well-funded, highly organized, and willing to take extreme measures to prevent Catherine's discoveries from being revealed. Langdon waits for the figure to leave before continuing, knowing that every second counts in the search for Catherine. Following the final clue from the theater, Langdon discovers a concealed passage leading to the city's outskirts. This route is isolated, offering both danger and opportunity. As he moves, he begins to piece together a broader picture of Catherine's work, not just as a scientific breakthrough, but as a map to understanding human potential. Each step forward strengthens his resolve to find her, and each encounter with danger sharpens his focus. Langdon emerges from the hidden passage onto an old bridge. The river below reflects the city lights like a mirror, creating patterns that feel almost symbolic. He pauses briefly, taking in the view, and considers the journey ahead. Catherine's trail continues beyond Prague, hinting at destinations that may span continents. Langdon understands that the coming days will test not only his intellect, but his courage, intuition, and determination to ensure that Catherine's discoveries are not lost to those who would use secrecy as a weapon.
Langdon follows the trail out of Prague, guided by the notebook and the subtle clues Catherine left behind. Each location he visits builds on the previous one, forming a chain of discoveries that slowly reveal the scope of her research. The journey takes him through hidden courtyards, abandoned buildings, and forgotten streets, all of which were designed to conceal knowledge from those unprepared to understand it. Every clue deepens his appreciation for the meticulous care Catherine took to protect her work. As he moves, Langdon reflects on the nature of consciousness, the subject at the heart of Catherine's research. He realizes that she has uncovered principles that connect human thought, memory, and perception with patterns in the natural world, and even with celestial events. The implications are staggering. If her findings are understood and applied, they could change humanity's understanding of the mind, potentially unlocking abilities long thought impossible. Langdon feels the weight of responsibility pressing upon him, knowing that the wrong hands could misuse this knowledge. While navigating the outskirts of the city, Langdon encounters additional symbols carved into walls and hidden in architectural details. Each symbol adds layers of meaning, revealing both historical context and a roadmap to Catherine's location. He carefully deciphers these codes, understanding that they are part of a centuries-old system designed to protect knowledge from those who would exploit it. The sophistication of the system impresses him. It combines logic, intuition, and symbolism in a way that challenges even his considerable expertise. Langdon's pursuit is complicated by the persistent presence of the hooded figure. Every time he thinks he has a clear path, he senses the figure watching, moving just out of sight. The chase becomes a dangerous game of strategy and anticipation, with Langdon forced to rely on his wits and the hidden signs left by Catherine. He begins to suspect that the figure may not only be a physical threat, but also a test of his resolve and understanding, meant to separate those who can handle the truth from those who cannot. Following the last set of clues, Langdon arrives at an abandoned observatory on the edge of the city. The building, weathered and nearly forgotten, holds intricate celestial instruments and charts that align with the diagrams in Catherine's notebook. As he studies them, Langdon realizes that the connections between the cosmos and human consciousness are more profound than he had imagined. Catherine's work attempts to map these connections, creating a framework that could redefine how humans understand the mind and its potential. While exploring the observatory, Langdon discovers a hidden compartment containing messages left specifically for him. These notes are cryptic yet encouraging, suggesting that Catherine anticipated his path and trusted him to decipher her intentions. Langdon feels a renewed sense of purpose and determination. He understands that finding Catherine is not only about rescuing her, but also about ensuring that her research survives. As night falls, Langdon exits the observatory, moving toward a secluded forested area where the next clue is said to be hidden. The shadows grow longer, and the city behind him fades into darkness. The journey ahead is uncertain, filled with danger and unknown challenges, but Langdon knows that he must continue. Each step brings him closer to Catherine, and each discovery reinforces the significance of the knowledge she has uncovered. The chase is far from over, and the stakes are higher than ever before.
Langdon moves cautiously through the forested outskirts, guided by the sketches and coded notes from Catherine's notebook. The air is thick and still, the shadows of the trees stretching long and dark across his path. Every sound seems amplified, a snapping branch, the rustle of leaves, and he cannot shake the feeling that the hooded figure is tracking him, just out of sight. The forest is unfamiliar territory, but Langdon relies on his intuition and the notebook's guidance to navigate the hidden paths. He soon discovers an old stone bridge, partially concealed by overgrown vines. Beneath it, a narrow tunnel leads to a hidden chamber, one that appears to have been used for centuries to store messages and artifacts. Inside, Langdon finds additional manuscripts and diagrams, some of which relate directly to Catherine's research on consciousness. The notes describe experiments, theories, and ancient practices that suggest human potential is far greater than previously understood. Langdon is struck by the scope and depth of her work. It is clear that she has combined science, history, and mysticism in a way that is both revolutionary and dangerous to those who wish to keep such knowledge hidden. While studying the chamber, Langdon notices subtle signs that Catherine has been there recently. A faint footprint in the dust, a partially folded page, and a hastily written note all suggest that she is nearby.
The realization fills him with a renewed urgency. He knows that every minute counts, as those pursuing her will stop at nothing to seize the research. Exiting the hidden chamber, Langdon continues through the forest, following the symbols etched into trees and rocks. Each mark is deliberate, placed to guide him safely while avoiding the attention of the pursuers. The forest seems to whisper secrets of the past, and Langdon senses that the clues left by Catherine are designed to test both his intellect and his resolve. The journey is as much about understanding her methods and the knowledge she protects as it is about physically finding her. As he approaches a clearing, Langdon glimpses movement in the distance. He hides behind a large tree, watching a group of men in dark coats coordinate near an abandoned building. They are clearly searching for someone or something. Langdon realizes that they are connected to the same organization that has been pursuing Catherine, and that their reach is extensive. Every step he takes must be calculated, and any misjudgment could result in disaster. Continuing through the clearing, Langdon finally discovers a small, secluded cabin. It appears abandoned, yet he notices signs of recent activity: footprints, a smoldering fire, and scattered papers. His heart races as he approaches cautiously, knowing this could be a critical point in his search. Inside, he finds more of Catherine's notes, carefully hidden but clearly intended for him to find. They reveal not only the next location she has moved to, but also hints about the deeper significance of her research and the dangers posed by those determined to keep it secret. Exiting the cabin, Langdon continues through the forest, the weight of the knowledge pressing on him. He realizes that the chase has become a race against time. Catherine's discoveries could transform humanity's understanding of consciousness, but only if he can navigate the threats, decode the symbols, and reach her. Before the forces working against them succeed, each step forward reinforces the urgency of his mission, and Langdon moves through the forest with renewed determination, ready to face the challenges that lie ahead.
Langdon follows the clues from Catherine's notes, moving cautiously through a series of narrow forest trails that wind toward the outskirts of a small village. The night is quiet, almost eerily so, and the darkness makes it difficult to discern the path ahead. Every sound, a distant owl, the rustle of leaves, heightens his senses. He knows that the hooded figure in the organization pursuing Catherine are still tracking him, and that any misstep could prove fatal. As he approaches the village, Langdon notices symbols carved into fence posts and walls, matching those in Catherine's notebook. These markings guide him to an old, abandoned monastery. Its stone walls are weathered and covered in ivy, and the heavy wooden doors seemed untouched for decades. Langdon enters carefully, aware that the building may contain both clues and dangers. Inside, he discovers a small library filled with ancient manuscripts, maps, and alchemical symbols. Some of the manuscripts appear to be centuries old, yet they reference concepts that resonate with Catherine's research, suggesting that her work is the continuation of knowledge preserved through generations. While exploring the monastery, Langdon finds a secret passage concealed behind a wall of books. The passage leads to a hidden chamber where Catherine's previous research materials are stored, including her latest findings on the link between human consciousness and the energy of the universe. The diagrams and notes indicate that she has discovered ways to enhance cognitive abilities, perceive hidden patterns, and access levels of awareness previously thought impossible. Langdon is astounded by the depth of her work and realizes why it is so dangerous in the wrong hands. As he studies the chamber, Langdon becomes aware of movement nearby. The hooded figure appears at the entrance, scanning the room. Langdon ducks behind a stone pillar, holding his breath as the figure methodically searches. The tension is palpable. One wrong move could expose him. After what feels like an eternity, the figure leaves, and Langdon seizes the opportunity to continue his search. Following additional notes and symbols, Langdon navigates a hidden exit that leads him along a ridge overlooking a river valley. The view is breathtaking, yet there is little time to pause. He deciphers a series of coded markings on the rocks that indicate that Catherine has moved further along a predetermined route, one that will eventually take her beyond the borders of the city.
Each clue she leaves demonstrates her foresight and intelligence, ensuring that only someone capable and dedicated could follow her trail. Langdon feels the growing weight of responsibility. He is not merely searching for a missing colleague, he is safeguarding knowledge that could alter humanity's understanding of consciousness and reality. Every step is a test of intellect, courage, and intuition. The organization pursuing them grows closer with each passing hour, and Langdon understands that the final confrontation may be imminent. He continues forward, determined to find Catherine and secure the research before it falls into the wrong hands. The journey has been long and perilous, and yet every discovery brings him closer to the truth. Langdon senses that the culmination of this chase is near, and the stakes have never been higher. The night stretches on, and the path ahead is filled with uncertainty, danger, and revelations that will challenge everything he believes about history, science, and the power of the human mind.
Langdon follows the final set of clues to a secluded estate on the outskirts of the city. The estate is surrounded by high walls and dense gardens, giving it an air of isolation. Every instinct tells him that Catherine is close, but he also knows that the hooded figure and the organization pursuing her are likely nearby. The stakes have never been higher, and one wrong move could mean disaster. Inside the estate, Langdon discovers a hidden laboratory filled with Catherine's research materials, manuscripts, diagrams, and advanced instruments that illustrate the full scope of her discoveries. Her work shows that human consciousness can be enhanced and harnessed in ways previously thought impossible, linking historical knowledge, scientific experimentation, and mystical understanding. Langdon is in awe of the breadth and depth of her research, realizing that this is the culmination of everything she has been working toward. Suddenly, the hooded figure appears, blocking his path. A tense confrontation ensues, testing Langdon's wit and courage. Using his knowledge of symbology and the clever placement of Catherine's clues, Langdon manages to outmaneuver the figure and secure the laboratory. He finally finds Catherine, who has been monitoring the situation and guiding him through subtle signs. The reunion is tense but filled with relief, as they both understand the dangers are not yet fully over. Together, Langdon and Catherine take steps to protect her research, ensuring that it cannot fall into the wrong hands. They carefully document everything, encode key findings, and prepare to share the knowledge responsibly. The threat of the organization remains, but Langdon and Catherine now have the understanding, foresight, and determination to stay one step ahead. As they leave the estate, the first light of dawn breaks over the horizon. Langdon reflects on the journey, the cities, the symbols, the ancient knowledge, and the constant danger. He realizes that the adventure was not just about saving Catherine or uncovering secrets, but about understanding the incredible potential of the human mind and the responsibility that comes with such knowledge. Friends, this brings us to the end of our step-by-step summary of The Secret of Secrets by Dan Brown. The novel takes us on a thrilling journey through history, science, and mystery, showing how courage, intelligence, and intuition can guide us through even the most dangerous challenges. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Mindset Hub Tube. For more exciting summaries and insights, stay tuned for our next adventure. And remember, knowledge is power, but wisdom is knowing how to use it.